Welcome to Draw with Jam. This month I'm going to be showing you how to make paper clay flowers. This is the first episode of a 4-episode long series. I'll be going from the easiest flower designs to make to the hardest. But before we start making paper clay flowers, I'm going to quickly show you how to make new colors using acrylic paint. All you need to do is take a chunk of paper clay, dip it in some paint, and then kind of knead it together. You can use gloves or you can do it with your bare hands. I'm doing it with my bare hands because I'm not that worried about the mess. Now it's time to work on our first flower. It's going to be a rose that I'm going to try to make look like this. The first step is to flatten out a piece of paper clay. It really doesn't need to be a perfect rectangle. In fact, it's better if it's not a perfect rectangle. It should be long like a rectangle, but a very imperfect rectangle, like a weird oval. Once you've flattened it out, you're now going to roll it up. And as you're rolling it up, once you've gotten to the third roll around, you're going to start making the clay kind of go outward, downward, kind of, like it's melting away. It's hard to explain with words, but hopefully this visual will help. If it doesn't come out perfect the first time, you can just squish it and try again. Once you've made the rose, just place it down on a flat surface to dry, and we'll come back to it later to paint it a little bit and make it a little cuter. Okay, the flower has now finished hardening, so I'm going to be using some watercolor paint to add some extra little details to make it a little prettier. I'm going to use a pink slightly darker than the pink of the rose, and I'm going to be painting inside all the little crevices to make them pop out a little more. To do this, you basically just shove your paintbrush in the crevices. You might also want to paint on the bottom side of the rose. I didn't do that here because I hadn't realized that that makes the flowers look good until later. I did some weird painting stuff on the top petals. I don't think it made the flower come out looking better. I think it made it slightly worse. So I wouldn't suggest doing that. Now it's time to move on to our second and final flower of the video. For this flower, you're going to want to make 5 balls of equal size. The 5th one should be yellow, and the rest can be whatever color you want, so long as it's the same color. Well, I suppose you could make them all different colors if you really want. In this case, I chose pink. Once you've made these 5 balls, you're going to flatten all the pink balls into flat circles, and then you're going to place them together in a flower shape. Then you're going to place the yellow ball in the center of them. To put this flower to dry, you're going to want to make the petals fold upwards a little bit so that it doesn't look too deep. A good way to do this is to have the yellow facing towards the ground and have the flower kind of try to stand on its 4 petals. You can also do this in reverse to have the flower kind of being way more open and to have its petals be pointing down instead of upish. Now the flower has finished drying, and it's time to add some extra details with watercolor paint. You can technically use a different kind of paint, like acrylic, but I like watercolor because it leaves a softer look on the flowers. For this flower, I put paint all around the edges of the petals, and then I had some quick dashes of paint coming out of the yellow area. All of this paint was a pink that's slightly darker than the pink I used for the flower. There's a link in the description for the other episodes of this series. If the links don't work, that means those episodes haven't come out yet. Don't forget to do everything the cute cat does.